Once White Swan had been out, they brought out their first album was T-Rex.
T-Rex's first album as T-Rex was a self-titled album. It was actually their last album as a duo. At that stage, Marc Bolan and Mickey Finn had this kind of, it was on an even partnership, I suppose. Marc hadn't quite taken the centre stage just yet.
It was also possibly not the first T-Rex album, but the last Tyrannosaurus Rex album.
Marc was still toying around with these sort of slightly mystical lyrics that he was very interested with, kind of elves and witches and things like that.
Oh, I thought it was great. I mean, tracks like Jewel, you know, they really rock out. They're kind of light in a way, but the guitaring's lovely.
The T-Rex album is still very much a bridging album with a lot of the Tyrannosaurus Rex sound, and the T-Rex sound hasn't really been totally formed.
Great album, you know, and it married the old and the new together. Again, you know, the Wizard wanted to rock. A lot of stuff left over that he thought was sort of faves and blended them in together with his new sound and his new look.
She's my woman of gold, she's not very old now. She's my woman of gold, she's not very old now. I don't mean to be bold, but to me I hold your hand.
What made Hot Love a hit was because it's a cool record, you know, it just vibes along. You play it right now, you know, you're actually going to play in a minute, or is it playing already? I don't know. And it's very upful. It's lifting, you know.
This is when you got to take on board, they've gone from a two-piece to a four-piece, with I believe a Mr. Curry, who was brought in on bass, and on drums a guy called Bill Fifield, I believe, but who became Bill Legend because that was the band that he was plucked from to join T-Rex.
I started out, you know, just with two people, and slowly I augmented it when I felt I could cope with it, you know, but I enjoy like working with perhaps the string section, so there's a lot of people. I wouldn't want to have that responsibility of having to work with them all the time. You know?
But this is your basic T-Rex group of 4 players.
Sure, yeah, and it's a question of economics as well, believe it or not. I mean, yeah. To go on the road is incredibly expensive. You know, we have to find a grand a week before you can play.
She ain't not a witch, and I love the witch.
That's the first single, the first song that you can actually hear the sound, which really sort of summarises T-Rex. You've got this slightly folky element, you've got some of the electric guitars in there, and you have these really bizarre backing vocals. It was very unusual even at the time. And I mean, in a way, they're almost slightly childish sounding, perhaps, the backing vocals, but that was what made that sound.
I think one of the nice things about that Hot Love was that it sounded like everybody was having fun. It brought back fun and you know, and entertainment. And Marc brought back with his, you know, with the clothes that he was starting to wear, he brought back entertainment into music.
I think it was a simple track with a lot of air. in it and not too cluttered, and I think that was the magic of it.
When they put out Hot Love, this was it. This was the real deal. They actually, you could see a pattern forming. You could see that they became like the Stones and the Who and the Beatles and the Kinks in the early days. They started to put together a string of hits that you can look back on and think, bloody hell.
Get It On, I suppose, is one most people remember. And I think it's probably been used a lot in TV advertising. It's sort of, I don't know, there's something about the theme that sticks in your mind and it encapsulates the 70s, really. It's sort of optimistic and groovy and hedonistic and having fun.
Mark's guitar riff and the drum figure that brings it. Zada. I mean, that just kicks it off right there.
Get it on, bang on, get it on, down, ow, ow, ow. You know, those snaps, fantastic.
It was the one that went straight to #1. It didn't just hang around the charts a bit. That was it. T-Rex was in full flow. And Get It On was much like Hot Love in the kind of the style of music. It was slightly electric guitars, and it was, he dropped some of that sort of mystical element as well. It was quite a sort of a sexy song.
Get It On it was a more sort of a gutsier single than Hot Love.
You do sweet black, don't look back, and I love you. You're dirty and sweet, oh yeah. You're slim.
It has some very special people playing on it. Firstly, you've got Rick Wakeman, who was at his majestic, glittery, huge glittery cloak, playing piano on it.
You don't notice the keys so much playing. Production probably why, but you don't notice the keys playing. Wakeman, but he does this whole run down the keys, which you hear. So that's his sort of contribution, I suppose, really, is that run down the keys.
You have got Ian MacDonald, who not only played saxophone for Foreigner, but played saxophone for King Crimson, and was a King Crimson member, to be quite honest. Yes, he's playing saxophone on it.
The saxophone, Ian MacDonald's playing probably could have been used more, would have been nice, but it works, and that sound, again, was copied on 70s glam rock acts.
It was really the only song that actually had a decent chart position in America, and this was the bane of Marc Bolan's career, really, or his life, was he wanted to get his stuff heard in America. He wanted to get out to this American audience.
Get It On was probably one of their best records. I mean, they also had some credibility. You know, they had the guy from King Crimson playing on it. They've also done the Top of the Pops with Elton John's been on it. It's like everyone liked T-Rex. Everyone thought they were a credible band.
People who hadn't sort of discovered T-Rex with Ride a White Swan, they'd either discovered them by Hot Love, or if not, certainly by Get It On. And so obviously Electric Warrior was just the album that went with that, and really, I think, brought in a lot more fans.
Marc Bolan was here and the world was getting to know about him, and that album certainly was his ship or his plane that carried him extremely well.
There were some great tracks on it.
Mambo Sun, Cosmic Dancer, Jeepster, Monolith, Lean Woman Blues, Get It On, Planet Queen, Girl, The Motivator, Life's a Gas, and Rip Off, which some people say is the first rock rap track.
The cover I liked a lot as well. It was very simple and spare, and the black and gold cover with Marc with his little Marshall amp and guitar.
I think this set a benchmark for him and made him go, right, now I've got my direction, I know where I'm going with this.
A lot of the lyrics, I think, were starting to become a lot more sort of sexual, although in a very subliminal way. You know, which of course obviously as teenagers are sort of reaching puberty and starting to pick up sort of things like that. You know, bleached on the beach, I want to tickle your peach, it's a rip-off.